right, good afternoon and welcome to the January 6th, 2023 edition of News from the Front Lines of Business by DW Huff Consulting. David Huff, the CPA here. I guess I'm kind of still in charge of the company. And anyways, we got through another week here, and this is actually the first podcast of the new year. So here we are getting back to the normal routine here. So since last time we talked, this Secure Act 2.0 has been passed. So talked about it a little bit prior, but now we kind of know what's in it. So a lot of good things. So really happy to see how this thing played out. But the first one we see here is that actually the first 2 points you see here are some differences to catch-up contributions. So as far as retirement plans go, and IRAs and Roth IRAs, there are certain dollar limitations that are applicable to people that are below 50 years old. And above 50, you get a catch-up contribution, and it varies depending on what type of plan it is. But there's some extra amount of money you're allowed to kick into the plans there to kind of help you get you up to speed with savings. So in addition to overall very generous increases to those catch-up amounts, there's also an additional catch-up amount available to people that are over 60 years old. So if you're a little bit older and you're just trying to get some money into your plans, now you have more of an incentive to get some of those deferred amounts paid in. So yeah, it doesn't need to be hopeless. So if you're over 60 and now you got more money to work with because you have less expenses, here you can get some more savings via your retirement plans. They also expanded the Roth IRA and the availability to simple IRAs and SEP IRAs. So those are two type of business retirement plans that prior to this only had the option for tax deferred contributions. Now the Roth is available. So so we like the Roth. I mean, the Roth IRA, it's kind of it's been a kind of a weapon of choice always whenever you're eligible for it to contribute to it, because whether or not you kind of working things where we always are very conscious of a tax bracket that you're going to be in retirement. And if we assume that we're going to be in the lower bracket, so having this 401ks that defer income makes sense. But on the other hand, I like just not having to think about taxes at all. So whether it's a lower rate or a higher rate, or whatever the rate's going to be, I prefer just not have to worry about it in a Roth IRA. Assuming you let it sit there for the required 5 years and meet all the other requirements, those withdrawals are completely tax free. So we always like that better, and the fact that now we have more ways to get money into a Roth IRA for an expanded, different types of retirement plans. We like that provision. Number 4 is this Roth rollovers from a 529 plan. So what a 529 plan is, it's a college savings plan. And if you take money out for qualified college expenses, there's a tax favored way to do that, and that's a good thing. But this option here allows unused funds to be rolled over into a Roth IRA for the benefit of that child. So this works out great, because I think a lot of parents sometimes are kind of hesitant to contribute to a 529 because you just don't know what your kid's going to do when he gets to be college age. Some people join the military, some people go into business right away or get good jobs, and just they don't fully utilize the college and have they don't have the tax advantage way to pull money out of the plan if they choose a different path. So what this lets you do is take any unused portions that are in there and roll it into a Roth IRA. So now that child, instead of using it for tuition, can get a head start on retirement planning, because those rollover amounts can grow pretty substantially over a 18-year contribution period that's typical with these things as people pumping their money. So that's a great head start for anybody that does not go to college or does not use all the money. So interesting. And then number 5, student loan payments included in matching. So that's helpful when you have a case where you got some limited amount of money, you want to put some money into paying down your student loan debt. And a lot of company 401k type plans will have a matching formula. And the way they figure out how much they have to match on your behalf, a lot of it has to do with how much you contribute. So if you have to reduce your contributions in order to pay down some student loans, This new provision in this act allows you to take those student loan payments, add them to what you put into the 401k, and now your matching contribution is based on that higher number there. So we like that. And they also increased the age for minimum required distribution. So that's, now when you have these plans and you let them grow tax deferred for a while, if you don't need the money, most people would prefer to let it ride a little bit longer. So now that required distribution doesn't happen until a little bit later in life, so you can get a little more tax-free compounding. So overall, we like pretty much everything we see about this act. We really like. All right, also we saw some interesting videos this past week regarding Trump's tax returns. So, before the Christmas break here, those things had to be disclosed, and a lot of people have been looking at them and trying to kind of make sense of it. But I guess the first thing I'll notice here, I Googled it before we got on here, and if you notice, every image you got is Democracy.com, Washington Post, New York Times, all these very anti-Trump organizations. So every Google search is going to try and pick apart these returns to really make them look, present them in a negative light. And what most practitioners see who've looked at these returns, and I haven't looked at them all yet, but in this bottom section, it kind of shows you where his income comes from, his wages as the president during 19 and 20, some interest, dividends, and these losses here from business purposes. Not really uncommon, actually, with large real estate investments. So just on its face, the fact that he paid nothing in taxes these years, or like very little amount of tax, is not jumping out at me as being something really out of the ordinary. I mean, this is what if the tax preparers that he's using, these tax consultants that he's using, will probably be structuring these deals in such a way that they don't generate a lot of tax. So that in itself isn't a problem. But if you look at these news articles, they just find things to kind of criticize. Like I saw one where they criticized the fact that him and his wife contributed $3 to the presidential election campaign. Stuff like that. They picking on him about, and I don't know. So look at it for yourself. But I guess be careful if you read an article about it, because some of the things that are critical are really nothing out of the ordinary, but just the fact that these on Donald Trump's returns is forcing into a more negative light than it really is. But really, big dollar amounts, large real estate investors, this is nothing really unusual. But it's really hard if you're trying to find somebody who did look at it in detail. You're going to have to click through a lot of pages of links and some customized Google searches to find anybody with a more neutral stance on it, because everybody in the top search results is definitely looking to bash the guy. So anyway, not much to see there, honestly. What I've seen so far, some large accounting fees for sure, and some charitable deductions here and there, but nothing. Without digging into the details of some of those numbers, nothing on his face is really jumping out at me. Here's another interesting thing. So we know that the IRS is having problems with the phone service as it is. So if you've had to try to call recently to get information, you may have noticed that you a lot of times have a hard time just getting through. And when you do get it through, you might be put on hold and be disconnected, or you might just sit on the courtesy hold forever, and all of a sudden you just get disconnected before anybody even talks to you personally. So common problem. But now we're seeing that they've established some of these bots that will, based on these voice commands, answer these calls. And they could do some very limited things with payment plans and I guess verifying balances. But they are having some success here. So maybe they'll get a little bit more into the artificial intelligence side of things, but it seems to be a lot of potential here to kind of solve these problems with these service centers not being able to deal with their phone calls. So anyway, so with that, we kind of in the beginning of the year, so tax season is going to be right upon us again, and the W-2s and 1099s are going out. So be ready on that, and we'll, as we see more developments, we'll definitely share some information with you. But as it is, my closing thought for today is that it's King's Day, the 12th night here. So even though king cakes are pretty much available year-round, today is the official start of king cake season. So if you're watching the local New Orleans area news, you'll see the Randazzo's is lines out the door this morning. A couple new places down here in Chalmette. There's Two Sisters Place, back at it again. They closed for a bit. They renamed and reorganized, and they're back at it. So a lot of choices for some sugary snacks this weekend. So have a good weekend, and we'll see y'all out here next week.